I want you to rub your hands and get ready for the biggest applause of the night so far, because our next speaker, Mary, she's a real superhero. Because I'm supposed to introduce Kevin as the next speaker, but as life goes on, Kevin left the company last week. And until 2 or 3 days ago, because Uli said, we love your campaign, we need to see someone from your company presenting this strategy. Until 2 days ago, Mary didn't even know that she was going to be in Vienna tonight. So please, the biggest hand of applause, give it up for fearless Mary.
Hi. Thank you. Hello, Vienna. I'm delighted to be here with 24 hours notice. I love your city. This is a presentation about you, or maybe you, perhaps you at the back. It's about something that we rarely talk about, but that can affect any of us. 1 in 4 people will suffer from a mental health problem this year. That's about 2 of you in every row. It affects all of us. But it's something that, as a society, we struggle to deal with. There's a huge amount of stigma associated with mental health issues. An example of this would be Frank Bruno, a British heavyweight boxing champion, famously came down with a mental health problem at the peak of his career and was institutionalized. And this is a strong man, you know. And the way we responded in Britain, not picking on the Sun necessarily, but this is typical of the tabloid attitude. Bonkers Bruno looked up. This is a man who'd won as many heavyweight boxing championships. Another example, 1,200 killed by mental patients. The tabloid press propagates stereotypes. It spreads fear. It demonizes people who've struggled with mental health problems. We're getting a bit better. The royals starting to open up a little bit. Prince Harry very recently started talking about the issues he had following the death of his very public death of his mother. And, you know, it's great that they're opening up, but again, the Sun just has to have a little dig. But it's not about the Sun, it's about culture. And of course, these headlines influence culture and create the stigma. So mental health issues can affect all of us, but men are disproportionately affected. 3 out of every 4 suicides in the UK are males. They're 3 times more likely to commit that final act than women. And it's the biggest killer of males aged under 50 in the UK, more than cancer, more than heart disease. Why is this? Well, there's a huge amount of pressure on men, right, to uphold this strong, masculine ideal. Never to admit there's a problem. Boys don't cry, right? In fact, 75% of men who have been clinically diagnosed with a mental health issue don't seek help. They self-medicate, so be that drugs or alcohol or just not dealing with it. They find it really hard to admit there's a problem. A little bit like when you talk to your dog and you say, okay, Ginger, I've had it. You stay out the garbage. Understand, Ginger, stay out of the garbage or else. And the dog hears, Ginger, blah, 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 Ginger. But talking to men about mental health, it's kind of the same. They'll block it out. I'm not comparing men to dogs. Didn't say that. But that there's kind of blinkers, and they'll block it out. And you can't go in and start talking about it because men, they just feel it doesn't apply to them. So when Time to Change, which is a mental health charity in the UK, lottery funded, they came to us and said, we want you to create a campaign that targets men and destigmatizes mental health. But we couldn't just go in and talk to men about mental health because they've got the blinkers on, right? So we needed a Trojan horse. We needed another way in. And the Trojan horse we identified was brotherhood. Friendships are an immense source of pride amongst men. They'll do anything for a mate. Bro code, being a good mate. So they do anything for their friends, but not all trouble is obvious. If you're not talking about it, how do they know? If they knew, they'd step in and help, right? So we understood that really they just needed to know what to look for and then what to do about it. So the strategy was to shift the conversation away from victims or sufferers and talk to potential supporters instead. So tonally, it was a shift. A lot of the communications mental health charities create are very kind of dark, they're kind of empathetic case studies of people who've experienced problems themselves, but as I say, men aren't going to engage with that. So we needed something different, and this is what we came up with.
Straight out the gate, the hate of the state makes very outright the fate of the great majority of the minority, not a priority, and that bothers me. Fight for the country, help me, then dump me off to the side and try to bubble gum.
Whoa. Can I help you?
We're John's mates. Is he around?
Yeah. He's over there.
Cheers, mate.
Right, John. All right, boys. Go sit down.
1 in 4 of us will fight mental health problems this year.
You can do this, John. We're with you.
We're with you, mate.
Having a mate in your corner can make all the difference. So if your mate's acting differently, step in.
Here we go now, the bell's out.
Search Time to Change.
So a complete shift in tone of voice. It's empowering, it's positive, it gives men something concrete that they can do. So we launched that campaign on national TV. We followed up with outdoor and press. We went to environments where men were likely to be perhaps having a conversation with their mates. The pub, we had beer mats. Is there a mate missing around this table? Why not reach out to him? And then, you know, tips, I guess, signs to look out for. If your mate's acting a bit differently, maybe ask him about it. And then in gyms, football stadiums, those sorts of environments. We also launched a radio program with TalkSport. So every week people could phone in and just have a chat. These are the results. So half of all the men who saw the campaign said they were thinking of stepping in. So it started to change attitudes. But my favourite here is the second achievement, which is that a quarter of all men who saw the campaign said they'd stepped in as a direct result of seeing it. So they'd had a chat with a mate. It's a real behavioural shift. 400,000 people stepped in because they'd seen the campaign. And 10% of people were more comfortable discussing mental health because of the campaign. So it was normalising it and starting to break down some of those stigmas. Let's end the stigma because it will save lives. Thank you.